In this lesson, we're gonna draw a funny cake donut with frosting. And here's a quick preview of how our drawings turn out at the very end. I hope you're really excited to follow along with me and you have your art supplies ready. Now, for this lesson, I'm using marker paper. I really like this Canson brand, and we're using our alcohol-based markers and a white and blue colored pencil. You don't have to use these same art supplies, but I'm gonna show you some tips on how to use them to make our drawings look more 3D. All right, let's get started. Let's first draw the big outside circle. We're gonna start here at the top, and you could use a template if you want to draw a perfect circle, but I like practicing our freehand circles. So it's always a challenge to draw these circles, but the more that you practice, the easier it gets. Okay, now let's draw a smaller circle in the inside, and I'm gonna draw it this big. There we go. We got our simple donut shape, but now we need to add the frosting and also the toppings or the sprinkles. So let's keep it really simple. We're gonna draw a wavy line right here on the left, and then kind of a matching wavy line over here on the right. I'm just drawing two little bumps for the frosting. Now we can draw the funny face, and you could change this funny face any way you want. You don't have to draw it the same as me. I'm gonna keep it really simple, draw a smile. And then we can draw a circle for the left eye and a circle for the right eye. There we go, we're practicing all these different size circles. We can even draw smaller circles for the little highlight in each eye. And then let's color in that big circle, but leave the little circle white. Now, anytime during this lesson, if you need extra time, remember you can always pause the video. You can also rewind if you need to watch a step over again. Now let's add sprinkles to our frosting, and we're gonna draw the same shape, but we're gonna change the direction each time we draw it. So there's the two side lines, and then we can draw a curve on the left and the right to finish the sprinkle. Now we're gonna draw those same two side lines. If you try to match the same distance and length for those first two lines, then each sprinkle will be close to the same size. But we're gonna change the direction each time we draw it. So it will look more natural, like we drop the sprinkles on. And we could draw them all over too. I'm just gonna add them to the frosting though. And this part we'll fast forward because we're just gonna repeat that same step until we cover all of the frosting. There's all of my sprinkles. Now we're ready to color it. This part we'll fast forward again because I'm gonna first color everything solid, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about making it look more 3D. All right, we have everything colored in solid, and we could leave it just like this, but I wanna show you a couple secrets or tips on how to make this look more 3D. So we have our pink and our light brown are the main colors. We're gonna use a kind of a light red for the shadow on the frosting first. And we're gonna imagine the light shining down from the top left. That's because we put the highlight in the top left of the eyes. So we're gonna put the shadow in the bottom right, or the opposite side of the lights. So I'm gonna start here. We're gonna add a little shadow right here at the bottom of the frosting. I hope this shows up on the camera. Sometimes when the colors are really similar, it doesn't show up as strong. But we're gonna add the shadow going around the top of the donut hole and then along the bottom of the frosting. And we can also add a little bit of shadow coming down the right side since the light is coming from the left and top. So we're on the bottom and right side with the shadow. Now we're gonna add shadows on the opposite side also of each sprinkle. This will make the sprinkle look like it's above the frosting. So we're gonna just add this darker red or this light red. It's darker than the pink, but we're gonna add this on the bottom right of each sprinkle. And sometimes it's confusing, especially when you have the sprinkles going different directions. So I'm just gonna make sure that it's on the bottom. It's okay if it's a little bit off. But there we go. Now the sprinkles look like they're standing or they're on top of the frosting. Next, let's add a shadow to the donut or the cake part of the donut. And we have a darker brown than what we used for the main color. So I'm gonna do the same thing. We're gonna just add this shadow along the bottom and right side. So it can be thicker on the right side and thinner over here on the left. Then we can add also the shadow underneath the frosting. Now let's add highlights to make the frosting look shinier. We're gonna use our white color pencil and add just a light highlight. So we're gonna press lightly on the frosting right here. And this will be similar to the highlight that's in the eye. So we want this in the top left of the frosting. So we can make it really thick over here, or wide. And then as we get over here to the top and kind of down the right side, we'll get thinner and also lighter. We won't press as hard. We could also add a little more, maybe there's a highlight right here on this drip because it stands out a little more. Then we can also use this to add highlights on the sprinkles. Sometimes this won't show up as much just because the colors are already light. But we can go along and add this highlight in the top left of each sprinkle. Then I also like using the white colored pencil to make the highlights in the eyes bigger. And you can also add a second smaller one right next to it, just for fun. And then sometimes I also like using a blue colored pencil to add, this is a reflection in the bottom of the eye. All right, we did it. We finished coloring and adding shadows to our donut. It looks really cool and super 3D, especially like this shadow, the way that we did it, because it makes the donut look like it's gonna roll off the table, like it's trying to escape. And I also went around the outside of the donut with a thicker line. I just like this style. I think it stands off the paper even more. Now you can add even more things to your drawing, like a complete background to finish it. And even though your drawings may look different than mine, I'm sure they turned out awesome. The most important thing is to have fun and practice, and we'll see you later, art friends. Goodbye.